Would I be the idiot if I had my husband in the room for my birth rather than the baby's soon-to-be parents? So this is my second surrogacy pregnancy. My first surrogacy was great. The pregnancy went well, the parents were nice and the baby was healthy. Well, this surrogacy has been awful. The parents are immigrants from a country in the Middle East. I am black and where they are from people with darker skin are always servants, maids and treated like trash. They were fine before I got pregnant, but since I got pregnant they have been extremely abusive and rude to my husband and I. The baby is going to have a lot of health problems which they have all blamed on me. The agency we work with knows how rude they are but doesn't know how to handle it. Well, I am due in about a month and a half and I'm on bed rest. They have also only been open to people having a natural birth with no medication. We were fine with that because my son was a natural birth and it wasn't that bad for me. I am worried about having a natural birth with this baby because of its health, but it isn't my kid so I don't know. We tried to FaceTime them last night but they were very rude. They tried to act like my doctor and said that if I just exercised more maybe the baby would be healthier. Well, anyway, I tried to bring up possibly getting an epidural and they freaked out and called me the N-word and a slave and other extremely hurtful things. I am only able to have one person in the room and honestly I want my husband. He was great at keeping me calm during both my labors, my son and the other surrogacy. Before everyone automatically assumed it would be the mother, but the agency said I can choose whoever I want and I really don't want her freaking me out even more when I'm already stressed about the baby's health. So would I be the idiot if I had my husband in the room with me rather than the baby's mother? Not the idiot. Your health is also important. Why did they pick you if they're so racist? Hopefully the agency blacklists them because that is unacceptable. They are abusing you. You control the birth, not the idiot. You are the patient. It does no one any good if you're stressed during labor. Have your husband in the room. And remember, a birth plan is just that. A plan. So, if in the end you need that epidural, get it. Ultimately it's your body and your choice. And you are open to it. But the situation has changed. No one has the right to treat you like that. So, have your husband in the room and thank your lucky stars that you never have to deal with these people again. Update. Okay, so some major things have happened and I wanted to make an update post. So only about 5 days after I made the post I went into labor really early, a little over a month and a half early. So we went to the hospital and our lawyer and agency representative came as soon as we called, but the parents were very late. I don't want to go into the birth too much because of how scary it was, but I ended up needing my husband in the room. The parents said if they couldn't be in the room they would go to their home and wait until we called to say that the baby was born. I ended up doing a natural birth because it was a split-second decision and I didn't want to cause more drama. After a long and painful birth the baby ended up in the NICU. The baby was very underweight and had a seizure and had some heart problems. The agency representative called them and only the wife arrived. She was very angry when she was told she couldn't just pick up the baby and leave. She had to call her husband, which they were both very upset about. Neither of them wanted to go to the NICU to see the baby, but the representative said they had to before I signed my rights away. When they did, they came back and said they weren't sure if they wanted the baby and they were going to sleep on it. Our lawyer told us that she would call some of their family to see if they wanted the baby if they decided they didn't. We found out that all their families are back in their home country. They called the next morning and said they didn't want the baby because no last names. As I read it, we decided to keep the baby. We named her Akira and brought her home a few days ago. Many people predicted this would happen. We are waiting to see if they are going to pay the hospital bills because although they did not keep the baby, it is still their responsibility. If not, we will sue. Thank you all for your kind words. We are settling into life with our newest edition and so I may not be able to read everything, but I will try my best. Edit. Thank you all so much for the kind words. Just to be clear, she is our fourth. My husband's cousin wasn't able to keep her kids for reasons that are irrelevant. We adopted them a few years back. Edit 2. Just to be clear, my husband's Indian, not black like me. You're the idiot. I don't see how the parents are at fault. It's reasonable to think that the baby's health problems are caused by the surrogate's lifestyle during the pregnancy. If she wasn't taking vitamins, wasn't eating healthy food, was drinking alcohol, was smoking, etc., I don't think they thought of you as a slave, but a surrogate is a servant in the sense that she serves as a vessel for the embryo created by the parent's genetic material. Not the idiot. Congratulations on the little one. I know this has been a terrible ordeal, but you have a beautiful baby you've brought into this world who you can do so much good for. She's lucky to have you as her parents rather than them, of that I am absolutely certain. You should be proud that you got through this and I want to wish you the absolute best of luck. Even though this baby already seems to have the best luck in the world by getting to be with you instead. How would you have treated the parents of your child? Let me know in the comments. Now, am I the idiot for lying to my parents about my sister's love life? My parents are rich and conservative. My sister and her long-term boyfriend were dating for a long time, but they were resistant to getting married. My parents really wanted her to get married as quickly as possible. They offered them a down payment for a house as a wedding gift. It was a lot of money and I think they needed it. They agreed and got married about 3 years ago. They moved to the city I was staying in and bought a nice house. The weird thing was that their roommate from before also moved with them and they let a room in their house to her too. I don't know the exact details about their relationship, but from what I can see, it is obvious that all three of them are involved. They have one photo of the wedding and the rest is of all three of them together. It was none of my business, but my sister and her husband seemed happy, and well, it is none of my business anyway. Well, my mom found out about this somehow. She is furious at my sister. She thinks she is sinning and she has patricianly disowned my sister. She is also angry with me as she knows I am close to my sister and visits her often. They had their suspicions for a long time and she had asked me vaguely about it before. I don't know why my mother was suspicious, but yeah, I lied and pretended that they didn't have a roommate. My mother feels like my sister ripped them off and lied to them as she feels her marriage was a sham. She is angry with me for abetting my sister and lying to her. It was a ton of money even for them, so I understand some of their anger, but I have mostly been able to stay civil with my parents. I hate lying and I actively lied to them about it. I feel like they are in the wrong here, but none of us come off looking good. I also feel like technically they paid her to get married and she did, but that is the kind of argument my dad would use, so I know I am an idiot here. Not the idiot. For multiple reasons. 1. It's not your news to tell, it's your sister's. 2. You didn't even know what the actual situation was, and if you didn't feel like it was your business to ask, that's understandable. 3. You didn't lie to them. You chose not to spread your sister's business. That's different, and I'd say you were taught if you told them behind your sister's back. 4. Your parents were going to find out eventually, whether that was by accident or by your sister telling them. Knowing they'll find out eventually, I wouldn't have told them either. 5. You didn't even know about the third at the time of the wedding, so any argument they use about wasting their money on the wedding is null. Update, all the not the idiot comments helped me soothe my heart about the guilt I felt about lying to my parents. My mother said that both of us were not invited to Thanksgiving anymore. Okay, I finally got the opportunity to talk to my sister yesterday. All 3 of them were in a relationship. I told her that I was cool with it and I had known about it for a long time. I asked her about the money and she told me that dad and mom had ambushed them during dinner, and then asked them to decide before the dinner was finished. Pretty fricked up, but typical from dad. I think they thought my sister and her boyfriend would stop sinning if they got married. My sister still sounds bitter about it. They are planning to hold a very small marriage with all 3 of them and forget about the shitty wedding my parents paid them to have. They are planning to do it next year when they hit the 10th anniversary of their relationship. My parents are probably going to cut me off too, but at this point, I really don't need their money and that is the only thing of value they can offer. I am just happy for my sister and her partners. Everyone sucks here. I think you should have told your parents at some point. I mean, it is unfair to accept money from your parents that they have worked hard for and lie to them as well. So your sister did them wrong. Also, I have seen some people in the same type of relationship as your sister and they end ugly. Not the idiot. Congrats to your sister on finding a relationship that makes her happy. 10 years is a long time, and that the 3 of them got through that wedding must have been really hard for all 3, but I especially feel for the one not in the wedding, and stuff is a testament to their bond. You sound like an amazing sibling. Sorry about your parents. Should Opus have told their parents sooner? Let me know in the comments. Now, would I be the idiot if I didn't give my parents a year of a public relationship with my fiance? Let me start this out by defining public. We, female 24 and male 27, are public. Anyone I care about knows about our relationship. The only people we aren't very public with are my family. So by public, I mean being open with my family. Important to know that we are an interracial couple. I'm white, he's black. Now let me explain why we haven't been public. We met in high school. I was a freshman and he was a senior. I had a huge crush on him. We texted and flirted, but nothing really happened. He lived in a large foster family home, so no dates allowed. My parents told me he was too old. They told me I was not allowed to speak with him until I was 18, and my dad told him to never contact me again. When I left for college, we started chatting again and had our first date. I told my mom we were talking. She said to only date people with nuclear families and to not talk to him till I was 21. When I corrected her and said it was 18, she told me she was going to drag me home by my hair. In my second year of college, we made it official that we were dating. I texted my mom before Thanksgiving break that I wanted them to meet him. She harassed me about whether I was pregnant and refused to meet him. I told her in a crowded restaurant we were officially dating, and she got mad at me for hiding things. Over the course of the next couple years, every time he got brought up, I could visibly watch her demeanor change. When I tried talking about him in front of my family, my dad told me that they weren't ready. I eventually just stopped talking about him to them. Eventually, my aunt saw his profile picture of us on Facebook and figured it out. My mom said she assumed we broke up because I wasn't talking about him. Now, I'm moving. He's coming with me, and we want to get married after 5 years together. We both have our masters, and I'm starting on my PhD. My dad told me that my fiance and I haven't done good at being open about our relationship. When I mentioned how mom threatened me, his only response was I didn't say there weren't reasons. He suggested that I give them a year of an open relationship in order to let the bad guys act like bad guys. I tried. They resisted. I stopped. I want my best friend with me when I take this huge step in life. My mom and her family's position on interracial relationships and racism are quite clear-cut and explicit. I'm not exposing him to that, and I don't want to experience it. But is that insensitive? Would I be an idiot for not entertaining the idea of giving them a chance to get used to our relationship before we get married? Edit. I would like to thank you all for your perspective and advice. I wasn't expecting it to get this blown up. I learned some hard truths and I appreciate that. I can't respond to everyone, but do know I read your comments. I texted my dad this morning letting him know that I wasn't going to put up or expose my fiancé to bigotry and racism. I told him I wanted a healthy relationship with them, but this wasn't how it's going to happen. I am currently looking into getting teletherapy to help me sort through some deep-rooted issues. I would like to end things on a happy note. My fiancé and I are very excited for our move. We are going somewhere cold and snowy, which we love. Our cat son and dog daughter are coming. We hope they will also like the change in climate despite the 12-hour drive they are currently and blissfully unaware of. Again, thank you all for your perspective. I will likely have an update in the future. Not the idiot. Your family is racist. Full stop. There is no need to give your parents a year of your relationship being public. They'll likely use this year to come between you and your fiancé. They will continue to be racist and negative throughout the wedding planning process, and your marriage. Shield your partner from them as much as you can. As a black girl who dates a lot of white men, I know how painful it is to know your partner's family feels disdainful towards you just for being black. From what little information you've provided, you and your future husband sound like you have a solid relationship. Don't give your family the opportunity to interfere. Update: I wish I had a better update. I also wanted to say thank you to those that commented. I got a lot of encouragement and truth. I am seeing a therapist. A few days after the post, I told both my parents that we needed to talk about my fiancé before I moved 10 hours away. They wanted a Zoom call, but I insisted on a phone call because I didn't want to have to communicate with them and be trying to read their facial expressions. The conversation went really badly. I had said I was tired of being expected to just feed them information when they never asked about my life. It was long silences and being told I was avoiding them when I asked them what they wanted to know about my life. Honestly, I really broke down after the conversation. On top of all the stress of moving in the pandemic, I just couldn't take it. My parents were still refusing to acknowledge anything we had talked about. My fiancé was as supportive as you could ask a partner to be during all this, but I was just really struggling. My sleeping schedule completely reversed, in which I was up all night having anxiety attacks and sleeping during the day. At my lowest, I was sitting in my car, eating breakfast, and straight up sobbing. I finally called my dad that morning, where he apologized and promised to do better. We had a really constructive conversation. I just wish he had stuck to it. My parents actually finally met him as we moved. We made a pit stop in my hometown since it was on the way so I could see them and my two best friends before leaving. My dad was polite and friendly. My mom was dead quiet. Moving was stressful as expected, but we're happy and almost settled in. We haven't gotten married yet. With COVID cases on the rise, we've been trying to be extra careful. We plan on just a simple courthouse marriage when we get the chance. This is very much to my parents' dismay since I was raised in a conservative Christian home. Otherwise, my parents have completely reverted to their behavior before my original post. Not talking about it, not asking about my life, nothing. They continue to talk about me behind my back, and my dad straight up lied to his sister about how I have a roommate. I'm focusing on my family. I have someone in my life who is genuinely proud of me and interested in my life and happiness. I have a dog and cat, and now a kitten, that I love with my whole entire heart. We have worked and created a life full of unconditional love. I do grieve for a healthy relationship with my parents, but I'm working on recognizing that I can't depend on a change in their behavior for my own well-being. Edit: just for clarification, I am currently in minimum contact with my parents, meaning there's basic acknowledgement of occasional texts, and that's it. I give them the minimum to stay in contact with my younger sister. My fiancé has absolutely zero contact and exposure to them, and the only reason they met on the way out of town was so that I could grab some identification documents they had been hesitant to give me. Not the idiot. Only one thing to do ... They won't respect your wishes, so you don't have to respect theirs. Go no contact. You don't need the stress in your life. Also, for future reference, if you have children, do not allow them to engage and come back into your life. They weren't supportive for 10 years through your relationship, and they will only bring misery and stress afterwards. Nobody deserves that, and you do not owe them a goddamn thing. Not the idiot. It really pisses me off that some Christians use their faith to be racist. What they forget is that Jesus wasn't white. He was from the Middle East. He was just westernized. I really don't understand how people don't get that.